What screams I'm depressed? Realizing that depression is just a tiny voice which tells you to do nothing all day in the back of your head, but ignoring it until you realize that now you're the voice telling an empty body which does nothing all day that it should do something. Seek help, people. Despair, anxiety too, I guess. When you don't do it for the attention. Often if you are depressed no one knows about it. Me every morning when I wake up. I don't, my roommate would get mad if I woke him up at night. When you pour yourself a bowl of cereal, proceed to get your spoon, and then realize that you have no milk. Kaylee or similarly horrible misspelled names. Alarm noises in the morning. When I stopped experiencing any joy whatsoever from the things I thought I loved. Like video games. Or my kids laughing. /him 14 and thighs is steep. 14-year-old girls. Me literally screaming I'm depressed. Truly depressed people don't scream about it or make memes. They suffer in silence unless asked about it. I'm not trying to gatekeep here. You see this mess of a room? I live here. I'd cow. Eating McDonald's in the car, alone, at night, in the apartment parking lot. One of my roommates saw me doing this and I couldn't tell him until a year later that I was just really depressed. This one kid named Joy at my school. She once got on a lunch table wearing a gay pride cape and shouted I am depressed. Harping on about your failures even if you never tried doing anything in the first place. Playing games 80 hours a week to escape the pain. I'm not tired but sleeping takes me away from it all. Who has the energy to scream? A kid that's depressed. A general sense of apathy towards the world, and more actively, indulging the sadness. I see a lot of people who will feel that sadness and start to feel sorry for themselves. For me it felt comforting, like I was giving my lack of interest a reason. Seeing someone not look after themselves is a sign. If they don't keep up with basic hygiene or their house is a mess, and they seem to look after themselves properly, is an indication something ain't right. Please, if you notice these with anyone you know, ask them if they are okay. It might make their day to have someone ask them about their well-being. Spending money on frivolous things that afford you temporary happiness when you can't afford to financially, thus forcing you into a vicious cycle of spending money to feel better but panicking about your lack of money. Having to tell yourself, I'm supposed to feel happy. Feeling empty, and loss of emotion. Also a trait in some other mental disorders, like personality disorders. Sleeping all the time. When someone says oh yeah I'm doing just neat and dandy. When you stop enjoying activities you love. When someone asks how you are, and you respond living the dream. Me when I'm having a depressive episode. Feeling extremely detached and alien from other people and things that you used to feel comfortable with. I describe the feeling as feeling like you are constantly looking from behind a screen and having a hard time remembering what is real and what isn't. Everything feels fake. Depersonalization happens very slowly, in my case, from isolation, and was definitely one of the worst parts of depression I ever went through. Being too depressed to even vap. Everything about my attitude today. Me on certain days. A huge hoodie. Anhedonia. Loud emos. Jogging pants. 14-year-old girls. Me at least twice a week. Having no hopes or dreams for as long as you can remember. Sitting on Reddit talking to strangers online instead of going out and talking to your friends. Could be a number of things, and depression hits everybody differently and has different levels of severity. Common indicators: fatigue, low or zero interest in things you usually enjoy, low or zero sex drive, sadness, suicidal feelings, insomnia or too much sleeping, feelings of hopelessness, outbursts of rage or feelings of anger/frustration at trivial things. These are things I've dealt/dealing with my depression. When I felt depressed, I noticed that I had become really aggressive with everyone when they asked me questions or asked me to do something. I didn't even realize it. This post. Silence. Checkered vans. Antidepressants. Creating a complex board game called Cones of Dunshire. You want to change things so hopelessly but feel as though you can't. Thing you used to enjoy feel dull. The worst part is you become so cynical in an attempt to not hurt yourself any further that it becomes difficult to even enjoy new things. Not the ones who tell everyone they're depressed. Usually the people who are so low they don't have the willpower or courage to seek help or tell anyone. Reddit. Apparently Reddit. It's like the number 1 and number 2 most often mentioned or discussed topic. 14 years/oh girls. Sleeps all day. No grooming and self-care. Not being sad but not happy. Just empty. It just becomes normal, and when people point out that maybe you are depressed you answer with, "What are you talking about? I'm okay. It's just another day." When I was really depressed, the only thought that would get me through was tomorrow's gotta be better. Really high energy and super talkative, to the point of being interruptive, when other people are around is typical of people who are bipolar. You are just seeing them on a high swing. Edit, grew up with a very bipolar brother, and I can always tell when he is not taking his prescription. Spending as much time as possible in bed. The bed has dirty sheets, crumbs, clothes, and books that you see no reason to move. But still doing laundry, showering, and going to work so no one will guess that you go home to scream, cry and think about how pretty knives are and how terrible it is that I'm thinking like this. Complete indifference to whether or not you wake up tomorrow. People that smell like Dorito cheese. Not willing to do anything, you just want to sit alone and in the dark waiting for your time. 1 bourbon, 1 scotch and 1 bear. Is your wife a golden retriever? When the police knock on your door asking if your wife's boyfriend is still around. When you can't afford a bottle of booze. Old Mr. Boston. When getting out of bed has become difficult to the point that when you get out of bed a good 1 or 2 you go back to bed and just lay there and do nothing and feel absolutely empty inside. Whoopie dingy do. Being sad when you know there's no reason to be. You're experiencing a happy event and you are miserable. Road cones and rocking chairs. Ford probes. Parrots and edgy 14-year-olds. Chevy Lagunas. Most of this website. Tom Dooley songs. Being drunk, bring alcohol to school, being willing to do anything to fit in, even drugs, and losing all social confidence, especially towards the preferred gender one is attracted to. This also includes intense mood swings, a feeling of complete hopelessness in general or after a tiny failure, a complete breakdown in motivation, a complete breakdown in comfort, a complete breakdown in social trust, losses trust in old friends, a complete breakdown in logic, also tends to occur when someone is/was in love before that leads to depression, a feeling of, I'm always right, one starts to want to be wrong but can't find a way. Perhaps that's just me. And a feeling nowadays, especially if one is male, that everybody is out to hurt them and that no one will actually listen, especially the helplines. Personally, I keep all my problems locked up tight inside because I feel it will be useless telling my family, and if I was to contact one of the helplines, I believe they would either hang up or get my details and call the police. Sometimes that knife looks really appealing considering I can't get my hands on a gun. When taking care of yourself seems like a waste of time. Because you think you don't deserve to be healthy. Wearing the same clothes for weeks. Depressed people. Me, mostly. I would say someone screaming I'm depressed really loudly. My Chemical Romance. Sometimes small setbacks or challenges seem insurmountable to someone dealing with depression. An angry depressed person. Screaming I'm depressed should do the trick. Someone screaming, I'm depressed. I know a lot of memes do this, but joking about being depressed might just be dark humor, but it might also be their coping mechanism. Making light of serious matters like depression can help them deal with it a bit. If someone keeps doing depression jokes or uncharacteristically jokes about it, it might be an actual sign. An insulted emo. I had a dream that I was talking to a girl and one of my dead friends was alive again. I felt normal. I woke up and it's back to staying in bed for 3 hours every morning and 3 hours every night before I fall asleep. I just wanna go back to that dream. A red flag is when your friend don't seem to react to anything in a positive or in a negative way. They just live without showing emotions. I do. Frequently. Depression doesn't scream. It smiles through gritted teeth. Attempting suicide. Constant partying, going out of their way to help others. Happiest people are sometimes the most depressed.